Wish FM. It's Wedding Banters. It's an entertaining and educative time on radio where we have healthy conversations on healthy marriages and, of course, relationships leading to marriages. That's what's discussed here on the show. I'm your regular host. My name is Ifoma Onwebute. You can also call me Ifi, the Dark Pearl. Oh my, I was supposed to do something before our microphones came on, but I think I'll let you do the introductions yourself. I was supposed to quickly just get the names once again. Really sorry, it happened in a hurry. Alright, let me introduce you to my guests. I've not had a couple in the studio for a while and I'm so happy. I'm really excited. Let me start. It's ladies first, sir.
No challenge.
So glad to have you, ma'am. Good morning.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Mrs. Regina Bernard Oluka.
All right, Mrs. Regina Bernard Oluka. It's so great to see you. And I love your outfits. You look so fine.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, sir, it's your time.
Okay, my name is Reverend Bernard Uluka.
All right, Reverend Bernard.
Yeah.
I think I'll write that down for later.
It's alright, it's fine.
Okay. Like I said, I'm really glad to have you. I've not had a couple in the studio for a while, and many a times it's good to get good perspectives when discussing issues, especially today's topic, today's discussion, which is submission in marriage. I'm hoping that in the course of this conversation, we can answer society's basic questions, like, why submission is important in marriage. We could also define what submission is. I think that's where we'd start, defining what submission is, and would also look at why it's difficult for women to submit in marriage. I also have, something like, should it just be the women submitting, or the women and the men? But let's just begin the conversation with what submission is. Where should I start? Where should I start? The two of you are one. So we become one. Where do I start?
Where you make your choice, we'll be fine with any.
Okay, let me start with you, sir.
Okay.
Reverend Bernard.
Okay, good morning, listeners out there once again. I would say submission, it means yielding, or we could say an act of surrendering, to an authority, as it were. Now, this is the definition, I would say, what the world calls submission, like right? The world. Okay. Now, I agreed with my wife, we would like to make the scripture our basis of discussion on this issue of submission. Not practically because we are pastors, as it were, but first we were Christians before we became pastors.
Okay. So before I let you continue, I would love to say this. He's taking that part of the Bible, like he said, they're Christians. It's just we have listeners whom are Muslims from our religion. So this conversation is for everyone.
Definitely,
but they're very much entitled to follow their faith and have this conversation. So please continue.
No doubt. And I would go further to say it means to serve. Submission also means to honor, to respect. When you say someone is submitting to someone, it means it's an act of respect.
Okay.
Now, the scripture says in the book of Ephesians, permit me to use the word, the Holy Bible, talked about wives submitting to your own husband. Now, the context of that scripture has to do with, showing honor, showing respect to your husband. Now, if you read verse 21 of that scripture, it says submitting yourself one to another. Now, that's the aspect you talked about. Should it just be the woman submitting and not the man submitting also? So, there have been a lot about that. And no doubt we live in a nation where this topic is actually a tough one because a lot of people have reasons why they should not. They place their arguments why they think that why must I submit? Can't I just be entitled to what I want and live my life? I
think it's because so many wrong narratives has been sold.
True, no doubt.
One of which is, I'll come to you, ma'am. One of which is, your husband never mentioned surrender. Some people have called submission to mean surrender. Some others have said it means you are inferior.
No.
Do you agree with that narrative?
Yeah.
You feel those people are wrong by what they say?
Yeah. Not absolutely.
Okay.
But I don't think that's a complete truth.
All right.
If you submission does not mean being inferior.
So society
submission
has a way
also
of
shows
spreading.
strength.
Yeah, true.
strength, kind of.
All right. Okay. Let me come over to you, sir. Still concerning this one.
Okay.
Why do we get this wrong trajectory from society when it comes to submission?
Okay.
Why? Looking at marriage, fundamental, it's the basics of society. And it really starts there with the man and the woman. If they are getting it right, it means that they can actually form, they can mold a very good family. But why does society spread this falsehood with submission?
I think it's a cultural issue. Like, all of this began somewhere. And then we're also tilting towards a generation where they are clamoring for gender equality, as it were.
So I knew we were going to get that one. Not this early.
Okay. But sincerely, we have a generation that has been misinformed, that has a little or no knowledge about how things should be handled properly. Now, everybody thinks that we all have a say. Doesn't mean we will say things that are right.
That's true.
So the society would always paint a picture or project something to you. But then the truth is, what the society is projecting, is it really right? Is it the actual thing? Should it be acceptable? This thing can be from the culture where you came from. Now, my culture accepts that any woman I marry should be a slave to me. But then, in the sense of it, is it right? Should any fellow human, be made, like an inferior being or a second-class citizen? Is it really right?
Even with our various religions, which talks about submission, right, in the marriage, we find out that many Nigerians, we can say, are religious people.
True.
But still, we see the opposite sort of happening. It's like people are not intentionally trying to learn the truth about submission. And then, because the falsehood is being spread, people misunderstand and then take that meaning.
Yeah, true. Because, the truth is, regardless of how fast a false spread, it will never metamorphose to become a truth.
Okay.
So something that it is wrong, regardless of how long it has been. Because I'm sure there are listeners out there now saying, are you now trying to say that you had practiced that thing for so long and then you think you're having your way through? It doesn't make it right. You can just be humiliating someone's daughter in your house and then you think because you're doing that, it means, my wife is submitting to me. So not true.
All right. We're actually going to get there. What submission is not, because we need to unlearn some things today. But I want to come to you, ma'am. When we talk about submission, is basically, something in marriage. Wives submitting to husbands. But how about those preparing for marriage? Should the women, the ladies, should they submit to their husbands to be? Does it also apply to the singles whom are preparing for marriage?
Yes, I would say yes, because if you can't submit to him while you're dating or courting,
all right,
it means that you will definitely not submit to him.
Definitely.
Yes, when you're married.
Okay.
Yes.
But some would argue that in that phase when you are dating, that's when you are very, very vocal, like so opinionated. You can say a lot of things.
That does not mean you should disrespect your man. You could be vocal, express yourself respectfully and submissively.
Lovely. Do you want to jump on this one?
Truth be told, nobody should try to marry a man you cannot submit to. That's where it begins from. Now, let me give you an instance. I sincerely, coming with my wife on air, it's very intentional. Few days ago made us 4 years in marriage. Wow!
I feel like ringing our bell. Raise our bell. Congratulations.
And sincerely, looking back to the period we're planning for wedding, I could literally say to you that she understood with the state I was then. And then there were certain projections I think ladies will make for as it were, preparing for wedding, not marriage. And then they will tell you, this is what I want. This is what I want my wedding to be. But I think every of those things, I had to make my wife bring them to the table. We discussed it. And then I had to really bring reality into it. This is a few hours event. So why will we go this direction? Why must we go this direction? Now we had to bring reasoning into it.
Okay.
And then in fact, literally everything I could say, she had to submit to them. Now, for example, let me say the one that will bust some the bubbles of some people out there. Now, my wife I wouldn't say she was really interested in it, but then I just practically told her, what's the basics for the bridal shower thing? Yes. What do we really stand to gain if we're going to have that?
The bridal shower.
And then I think she said some things, and then I also brought my own opinion. Because I had made my family's, God has helped us to build a family where we can talk, we can reason, we can communicate. So she said that, and then I also brought my opinion. This is what I think. Now, why it is fine, beautiful, but then why not we do it this other way, where we make it more educative? Why not we put together a night to really speak to singles out there, instead of taking you a few friends, go there, you wear some things and all that. So we had to put together. We had a talk section that night. It was organized like a praise, a worship section. I'm not trying to say you should buy totally into what I did, but then I'm sure people were blessed through that section. Some of our experiences in course of dating, in course of how we met and all that. I believe there are people that say, that testimonies blessed their life out there. And then it really, changed the course of things for them.
Right.
So if you cannot submit in dating, because of course it must be total. However, not to things.
Did you say it must be total?
Yes, but not to things against your belief and stance.
All right.
I mean, against your faith.
And that's why it's good for you both to be in the same faith.
Very, very true. Very, very true. Okay, let me hold it there. I was going to go to something, but let me hold it
All
there.
right. I'd love to come to you, ma'am. Not to digress from our conversation, but me finding out now that it's been 4 years. I don't know. How do you feel about this? I'm so excited. Really happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But how did you meet? How did we meet?
How did we meet? We met in church.
In church. In church. Okay.
No, but that's not to mean everything. Things like this will always happen in church.
I understand. I understand. So at that time, I was through that. So they want like a very clear message. Are you that kind of person
that received a clear message?
You just
this is thy husband. Okay, no.
All right.
What happened was we became friends, and then I just followed my heart.
Wow.
I prayed, yes.
Okay.
I prayed, and then I knew what I wanted. I had some outline characters.
Okay,
that
you wanted to see in your husband.
Yes, and then in course of we being friends, I saw those things, and then after praying, I got a confirmation that
she's giving us updates.
that
Updates. Listen, take notes. Wow. Okay.
And that was it.
That was it. Yeah. Wow. Thank God. Thank God. And the big day.
The big day was wow.
Congratulations.
The big day was wow.
Okay. All right. So let's come back to the conversation. It's not like I don't want to hear your side of
okay.
this. I don't know. I would love to hear your side of things, though. But do we really have time?
I'll go with you.
Did you also have something lined up? What you wanted to see?
Yes. Now, my convictions about marrying her was born out of the fact that I needed a friend.
Oh my God!
So I needed a friend. So not as though there were no other friends. There were friends, but then something stood her out.
Wow.
And this was the kind of upbringing she had. Interacting with her, I knew there was a different perspective she had about home. Okay, for instance, I said I was going to that she was brought up by a woman that understood the topic submission. How do I mean by that? She told me some time ago how that things were very rough for the family. Now the father, the mother, they were not even married.
Yes.
And then she told me how that they needed to pay school fees. The mother was at the moment doing well, but she could practically see how the mother gives money to the father to give them for school fees.
Okay.
Now, even when they will cry to their father, they know the father will not have the money to bring. Now, but instead of the woman bringing the money to really show, I'm now the one training you people, don't mind your lazy father and all that. Now, she would always call. So there were things I saw that really, it was really showing to me that, you are talking about a friend, and then there were things around her that gave confirmations, and of course, I prayed, and then I really was led, and I was convinced this is the woman, and I can tell you 4 years down the line, no regrets at all.
My God.
Yeah, no regrets. No
Love
regrets.
is indeed a
No,
beautiful
sincerely,
thing.
no regrets at
Hey,
all. I can
all
say
right.
that for free.
The singles that want to tap, you need the blessings. You could also pray and then take lessons, okay? Just learn from things that has been said in the studio. Let's come back to the conversation now. Let's quickly look at what submission is not. We've said a few things, but let's just go into it now. First thing I learned while reading up on what submission is not in society, I learned that submission is not a general thing. The woman submits to her husband. Not all men in general. But do you agree? Because you have your eyes.
I think submission should be mutual.
It should be mutual.
Yeah.
Okay. The woman
the woman submit to the man, and the man also submit to the woman.
But you know the thing now, the Bible did not mention the man's own of submitting to the woman.
He said
So it's
submit
like,
one to another.
oh yes, that's true. That part of the Bible. So I learned that the wife's submission is not to men in general. So the statement we often hear in society, like, is that how you talk to your husband at home? Is that how you behave as a husband? I learned that's sort of wrong. Do you agree?
The scripture says submitting to your own husband.
All right. But it doesn't mean you disrespect men.
However, who you are in the house will always reflect in the outside.
Yeah, so true.
If you are a woman that submits to your own husband in the house, when you come outside, you won't treat men like trash. Now, okay, I was going to say that when love is lavishly given, submission comes with ease. Truth. Now, look at any environment where love is in the atmosphere always. The woman will submit. We were going to say what submission is not. And permit me to say, submission is not forced. You don't force a woman to submit to you.
Really?
Yes.
But I feel like the standards has already been there. Since the Bible says woman submits.
Now,
she just knows I will submit though.
Now, let's go back to the basics. Including submission, every other scriptural injunction, looks difficult, but possible if we obey. It looks difficult, like you could say the same way it's difficult if we talk about tithing. Sorry, I'm going that way. But
I understand why.
There are some persons that will say that must we, must I? Why not? Okay, for me to submit first, let the man love first. However, of course, there are people that say stuff like that.
Okay.
But like I was trying to say, in an atmosphere of love, submission thrives.
But let me ask the question on behalf of those people.
Okay, please do.
Should that happen? Yeah, the man show love and then she submits.
However, do you know? I discovered while I was doing a study, the true beauty of a woman is seen in her submission.
Wow.
Yes, you want to win the heart of the man. I'm not saying that there are no doubt is the fact that we have very stubborn and hard-hardened men out there, But then I was going to say when we get to the point of talking about how to submit. First, if your heart is not yielded to Christ, I'm talking about for Christians now, because I believe I have Christian brethren out there listening to me right now. If you're not submitting to Christ, it will be difficult to submit to anybody, including the parents that gave birth to you.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah, because if you can come to a point of you've encountered Christ, you can give up things for Christ. You can even give up, because let's go back to scripture.
But you realize that there are people of really outstanding characters who don't necessarily believe in God.
Yeah, true.
Marriages are doing fine too. Their marriages are,
Yes, of course. Let me state clearly.
All right.
Now, the fact that you're a moral person doesn't make you a Christian. You can be morally upright, like I don't steal, I hold on to certain tenets and all that. But if you're not healed, if you are not submitting to Christ, I mean, you've not come to the point where Christ is now your Lord and personal Savior. I'm talking about the Christian faith now.
All right.
It can really be very difficult. And then let me tell you, I think I should mention at this point that true submission can be tested with time. Because some of these people, you say, they are submitting. Let pressure come. That the man
you are shaking the table.
Now, the truth is that
so women feel that showed all the time
sincerely, that the man is putting food on the table, taking you guys are doing, hangout meals and all of those things, and you're enjoying, and then you're just answering yes sir, yes sir. Let there be no money. We will see whether you're truly submitting.
But why is it always referred to money? Why?
Money shakes a lot of things.
Let me come to you, ma'am. I'd say this. Really, true submission tested with time. But I've seen some people so dedicated, so into that relationship that is leading to marriage, and they can tell you for certain that this is the height of submission any man can find anywhere.
Like I've given it all.
There's nothing more. All of me has submitted myself. Do you agree?
Yes,
you
I
completely agree with what your husband has said. Wow.
You know, like you're saying, the truth is, we live in a generation where people are not really sensitive to where a relationship is leading to. Let me really explain.
Despite all of the seminars, all of the messages.
Yes, despite all of these things going on, you could just see a young lady that likes the physique of this guy, and then she's all around him, you know, possibly doing chores for him, you know, and maybe the guy hasn't really bossed the big question to say, I will, or will you marry me, as it were. Okay. You know, and you're just there running errands for the young man and then doing all of those things and submitting, and then one day, maybe out of you do curiosity, you just ask, who really are we? And the man tells you, I see you like a sister.
Wow.
You know, and all along you you know, and all along you've just been. So let me quickly say that, bringing this to submission, let me say that while dating, while courting and all of that, while submitting in the relationship, you know, as a woman, be really sure and sensitive of the man you are submitting to. Yeah, be really sensitive to it, because some things you are saying, I've given it all right now. Some of the things you were giving were not what the man actually wanted or what the man is looking out for. You were just there trying to make investments that will never yield any results. You know, because the man is not looking, this thing is not, marriage is not in the picture. We're just two young people trying to make fun of themselves and all that. And the marriage is not in the picture for man. And you know, women are always very fantasized with this thing. So once the man shows interest, they can go to any length and say, I am submitting. You get, you know, pick colors of
choosing names of children.
You know, choosing names of children and all that. And then the man is not, and the final thing that just comes up one day is, after all this thing I was submitting, so it means the man was not even seeing me. The truth of the matter is that yes, you were actually
not going same direction.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Now, I was talking to some young people a couple of days, and then I told them that if until the man defines this thing, be careful of what you invest.
The truth is, singles should be careful, because I've heard of some men actually defining things.
And the truth is, you know,
and then it just goes
definition, definition. Let me even state clearly that some of us men, we do not declare, we do not define this thing in clear terms.
Hey,
I'm telling you,
that's so complicated.
No, I'm telling you, because when do you do? Okay, you were in school, I'm sure.
Okay,
there were courses you offered while you were in school. Definitely. Did they define the course in the middle of the semester? No. At the beginning, immediately course outline was given.
You know what you're going to be learning.
Definition of terms. This is 3 years down the line, and you're all doing shawarma, pizza, and the man hasn't told you where he's taking you to. There must be definition from the beginning.
All right.
And then if definition comes from the, I'm sure you'll be direct. You will know what you are submitting, because of course, let's not forget the fact that there is a generic kind of submission. You know,
there's a generic kind of submission.
Yes, I'm going to talk about that.
Have we talked about it? We haven't.
No, like in the, I think you mentioned something about that. Okay, like in the society where you should be, you know, respectful. Yes. A woman should not, you know, present herself in certain ways to a man, or you know, there are certain kind of disposition a woman should not put up. You know, maybe in a workplace or something, you should learn how to listen. No, that doesn't make you inferior and all that. Okay. You know, you still hold your place.
Indeed. Okay. Still on what submission is and what submission is not. Also, while I was trying to school myself, learn very well for today, I found out that submission, we've talked about that one, doesn't mean that the woman is inferior to her husband. And we've also stated why society seems to say otherwise. I've also learned that submission doesn't minimize a wife's mindedness.
True.
Yeah.
She has a mind. Yeah, I want to let you talk on this one. It doesn't mean that she doesn't have a mind of her
own.
Yeah.
But many a times it appears that way, because we hear, or maybe it's just what we hear, what society tells us, that, you know, there's no need for your opinion. There's no need. If the man has decided, you should just follow through. You know, you should be submissive.
So that would make me to say that submission does not mean that you should agree to everything as a wife.
All right.
And then you say you're submissive. That does not mean that
You don't.
Everything your husband says, you agree to it.
Okay.
You don't have any opinion of your own. You are a human being. Come on, you are a person and you have brains, and
you were
brains are supposed to be working.
You got married. Yes.
As a matter of fact, the both of you are supposed to even help each other, complement each other, and make each other do better. Yeah. So, in clear instances where maybe your husband says something that is not right, and you know very well that
This
is
is not
not
good.
right,
All right.
but maybe because of submission, and then you just want to do it for peace sake, that would be very wrong on your own path.
All right.
It means you've not really helped that man.
Okay. So those are the few things I learned on what submission
Okay.
is. Do you want
Let
to
me
add
quickly
something
say-
else before we move on to what submission should look like?
Yeah, submission doesn't mean being docile. It doesn't mean being,
Yes.
It's not degrading. For example, I'm going to say something that would make her a bit nostalgic at the moment. Now, is that the right word, nostalgic? Okay, let me mention. Some time ago, my wife was interested in a particular business.
Okay.
She wanted to do, and she shared with me, and I really did not pray about it. But looking at the direction my ministry, God has called me into building and all of that.
Yes.
I had to call her and then told her, babe, because that's what I call her. Let's
That's what you call her.
Yeah, of course, that's right.
You're free to call her that. You are very free.
So I mentioned to her, I told her, babe, look at this, no doubt it will fetch money.
Okay.
No doubt it will, but this thing will have, on the long run, I may not want to be associated with this.
Okay.
Looking at the peculiarity of the ministry I'm building, God has called me into.
Okay.
And I could remember that she emphatically, several times still brought the proposal over and again. And the truth of the matter is, thank God my home is not a place where there is so much pressure. Regardless of how you want to, we have a way of communicating things. I could remember one of the nights I had to call her, woke her up and told her, babes, please sit. Let's look at this thing. Look at it from this. I know you have a point of view.
Yes.
And the truth is, in submission, find a way of getting to your partner's point of view and then see the thing from the point your partner is seeing it. It may be difficult. It will take you time, but then, take time to look at it carefully. And I think we looked at it. She joined me from my own end. And do you know people of... do you know?
It's listeners on the radio.
Do you know? Right now, I'm so sure my wife will be grateful to God and to me for not allowing her venture into that business.
Wow.
Sincerely. I didn't mention this to her before we came here. But sometimes, like we're trying to talk about, it doesn't mean you're those. It didn't make her inferior. Like, I practically told her, okay, tell me any other thing I could do, but this one, I looked at it carefully, and I'm not sure I would want to be identified with this in the near future. Okay,
so in clear terms, if you are in a marriage and you do feel like it's slavery, it means you're submitting and it feels like slavery. It means like someone is intentionally trying to use your... It means that submission is done, but one person is taking advantage of the other.
Yes. You could be giving submission totally from your heart, and then you're being taken for granted.
Yeah.
It could just mean, after all, anything I tell my wife, she will listen. People, let me say, listeners, it is not everything I say to my wife that she accepts to.
Okay.
You get? Yes.
All right.
Because sometimes I want to share something with her and I tell her, please, what do you think about this? I don't take decision and then instruct her over it. And let me even share this. For these 4 years, I have never used any degrading word on my wife.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
Yes.
That's true.
Like, I have not called her names. Why should I? Even if I believe there are times where tempers will flare in the house and I'll be like, let's talk about this later. Let's sleep over this. And then we wake up the next morning, and then you could really see us. The energy of yesterday is no longer there. So we look at the thing now with a different perspective.
Indeed.
And then we get the kind of results because the truth of the matter is, what we want is results. What we want is a home that works. For every listener out there, what you are looking for is a marriage that can work. And like we agreed from the first day, we will work to make this thing work.
Hey, God. Some of us want to agree also. For
So it takes work to make it work. Sometimes the work could be, sharing. It could be communicating.
Okay.
The work could be understanding.
Okay.
The work could be, adjusting to accommodate your partner's point of view. So there are times she had adjusted. There are times I have also adjusted. Will it be convenient at the moment? No. But is it possible? Is it doable? Yes. Is there a fruitful reward at the end of it? Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, let me come to you. What should submission look like? Because there's a picture of submission painted in society. First one is the day of the wedding reception when she's feeding him the cake. And they'll tell her, do it well. You should kneel down and feed him well. Is that how you feed him in the house? I mean, that's like a visual, image of what submission
It's
is
more like a common flag.
right?
Yeah, true.
But do you agree? Or, of course, there are some other things.
Submission should look like honor, real honor.
Wow.
Not painted, not because of I want something.
Not because people are watching right now.
Not because of maybe you're living in your family compound, sort of.
All right.
Or maybe you want him to do something for you. So
that's true.
Yes, some persons
people use it
could.
as a weapon.
Some persons could submit. So submission shouldn't look like that. Submission should be real honor, genuine honor. Yeah, genuine honor and respect.
All right. So I'll let you quickly react to this one before we move on to something else.
Okay. Submission. Let me see. How should a woman submit? Let me really look at it from that end.
Okay.
Okay. In a marriage, make him have the lead.
Ooh. Make
Yes.
him have the lead.
So
Yes.
because he should naturally have the lead.
Yes.
He should naturally
Now
have
the
the lead.
idea is not to make him be the head authoritative, but then we are going to do something. We're going to get a project done or whatever we want to do. Let your husband, he will not, his opinion, like I would always say, let me say emphatically, it doesn't always, what is sustaining or running my home today is not just my idea alone. That doesn't mean I am not the husband of the house, but she could tell you, I have never used the word, am I not the husband of the house and all of these things? Not once. No, not once. I am the man of this house. I've not said that for once. But does that mean I'm not the man of the house?
Or does that mean that she's not submissive?
Submissive?
Does it put you in
No.
positions to say that?
There are occasions that will come up, singles out there, married people out there. There are occasions out there that you really would need to tell your wife, I'm the man of the house, but is it really necessary? Of course.
Then another thing to it, submission, it's more like affirming to your husband's leadership, just as he has said.
Okay.
But the husband should know that in as much as this woman is submitting to you with her whole heart, you should know that you would not take that for granted. You would also lovingly reciprocate that her submission.
Wow.
Let me add quickly signs of submission for a wife. Support the vision. Support the vision of the man as you pull through. If he has a vision.
All right, please just let me speak into your microphone so we can hear you better.
Okay. Now, and one of the ways to really show that a woman is submitting, it should be a woman that listens, not hearing. Because a lot of women out there, they hear, but they aren't.
You also need to know when.
You can know what to say. You can have the right idea. You will say it wrongly and it will be buried while you are saying it. Yes. Yes. So know how to say it, know how to communicate. So she should know how to communicate her thoughts in humility. For example, my wife calls me, she calls me B. Now, outside that, my number in her phone is saved with my Lord. But the question is, do I really lord over her?
This is the global news on Atlantic Television Network. First, the headlines. Commissioner of Police expresses optimism over airport renovation in Port Harcourt. IPOB confirms Kanu's letter to ECPA as authentic. President Tinubu eulogizes late dear. Rivers NLC set to embark on peaceful protests. President Gustavo's son arrested over money laundering. Peace Square falls, others beg Oshala's father over shirtless celebration. Arsenal unveils Wenger bronze statue. Thank you for joining us on the Global News tonight. Here is our bulletin in full. The Commissioner of Police in charge of airports across the country, Amenu Babaragi, has expressed optimism that the renovation of the airport in Rivers State Omagwa Police Division will serve as a motivating factor to service delivery. The CP Ragi, who spoke during the commissioning and handover of the renovated Port Harcourt International Airport, Omagwa, commended the efforts of Asharami Synergy through Sahara Group in renovating the station. The CP, who was represented by the Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of Airport South Area Commander, ACP Raju Barasua, said the gesture of the renovating a public infrastructure should be emulated by other firms, corporate organizations, and private individuals to boost the service delivery morale of police officers saddled with the responsibility of crime prevention and visibility policing as enshrined in the section of 1999 Constitution. ACP Barasua commended the company for showcasing the world that the Nigerian police force is in dire need of sustainable development and social corporate responsibility of all entities in the interest of providing adequate security of lives and properties. In his goodwill message, the Rivers State Commissioner of Police Nwoyi Polycarp Emeka, who was represented by the Isoko Area Commander Zachary Shuaibu, stressed the need for groups, corporate organizations, and well-meaning individuals to always see the need to assist the security agencies, especially the police, in the fight against crime and criminality. The Akwa Ibom State Governor Umar Eno has inaugurated the State Executive Council comprising 23 commissioners and one special advisor with a charge on members to brace up to the new phase of the administration and turn around the economic fortunes of the state. While inaugurating the new Executive Council members at the Banquet Hall Government House, Uyo, the governor emphasized that the Arise Agenda blueprint of his administration seek, among other things, to stimulate the rural economy and ensure a turnaround in the rural areas by way of integration and the massive development. He explained that he decided to kickstart the administration with his former colleagues, having worked with them and known their capabilities in certain areas, explaining that it would be unfair to him to disparage their sacrifices, which culminated in his victory at the gubernatorial poll, and urged the EXCO members to consider it a priority to invest in the younger generation, assuring his team members that the grace that found him from among them was sufficient for all of them and should become evident in the results of their services to Akwa Ibom people. Governor Basi Otu of Cross River State has directed the immediate audit and verification of civil and unified local government service staff in Cross River State. This is contained in a statement signed by Dr. Innocent Eteng, Permanent Secretary, Office of the Secretary to the State Government. The governor noted that the exercise would commence from the northern senatorial district of the state from Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. daily. Otu called on the workers to avail themselves of the exercise, which would be held in two designated centers of the zone in Ogoja and Obudu. He further directed all staff to comply with the requirement to avoid the omission of their names in the verified payroll that would emanate from the exercise. Governor Hope Uzodinma has once again offered to grant amnesty to bandits who will give up their arms and turn a new leaf. While speaking at the meeting with traditional and community leaders held at Ezimo Palace, Governor Uzodinma advocated for peace and stability in the state with a good offer of rehabilitation to anyone willing to turn in their weapons through their traditional rulers. Governor Uzodinma urged the traditional rulers to put more effort to secure their communities and identify strangers causing trouble there. He reiterated his government's commitment to protecting Ndimo from the urban down to the rural areas. According to the governor, security is the business of every law-abiding citizen, and all hands must be on deck for Imo State to thrive. The governor also intimated them of the government's policies and commitment to cushion the effects of the fuel subsidy removal, which include the 40,000 naira minimum wage increase, free medical care, and 1 meal per day for Imo workers, and many more. The governor encouraged every Imo citizen to get their social security numbers, which will not only enable them to be identified, but also benefit from both the state and the federal government palliatives. Security operatives have foiled an attempt by kidnappers to kidnap the owner of one jewelry shop along Ikenebu Street close to Kilimanjaro Eatery in Owerri, Imo State, and shot dead the driver of the said kidnappers. You recall that a similar incident occurred in Ikenebu involving the chief executive officer of Johnny's Supermarket Pharmacy located at Ikenebu Layout in Owerri, John Ugoji. He was freed 2 weeks after by his abductors. But residents who spoke to newsmen in Owerri on the incident commended the police for their swift response to the kidnap scene. At the time filing this report, the State Public Relations Officer Henry Okoye confirmed the 2 of the suspects have been apprehended and 1 of them shot dead. Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State has congratulated Archbishop Margaret Benson Idahosa of the Church of God Mission International as she celebrates her 80th birthday today. In a statement in Benin, the governor praised Benson Idahosa for his contributions to the development of Edo and the entire Nigeria. The governor described Benson Idahosa as peaceful, eloquent, and endearing. Her service in the vineyard of God has provided the opportunity for many Christian faithful to sustain personal connection and a relationship with God. We also wish Archbishop Margaret Idahosa happy 80th birthday. The kidnapped famous Anambra native Dr. Chidozie Nwangu, popularly called Akwokoko Tiwaraki, has been released. The Anambra State Police spokesman DSP Tochukwu Ikenga confirmed his release on Saturday. Ikenga said that the popular native doctor was released by his abductors in the early hours of Saturday. Akwokoko Tiwaraki was kidnapped on Sunday, July 23rd at his hotel in Oba, Idemili North local government area of the state. Ikenga, who did not disclose the amounts his abductors collected, said the abductors reached out to the native doctor's colleagues and some money was paid to them before he was freed. It was also gathered that friends and well-wishers are currently gathering in his palatial mansion to welcome him. The Anambra State government has warned school heads and proprietors in the state to desist from actions capable of endangering the lives of children entrusted in their care. The State Commissioner for Education, Professor Ngozi Chuma Ude, gave the warning while addressing the committee of inquiry constituted by the state government to investigate the case of a devastating injury on the 2-year-old pupil of Blessed Wisdom Model School. Housing Estate Jare Onitsha, the state government had constituted The committee, following a petition that the toddler sustained bodily injury at the school 2 weeks ago without any first aid given, a situation which attracted the attention of the state government after the incident went viral. As a result of the development, the state government, through the Commissioner for Education, ordered the shutting down of the school. Chuma Ude bemoaned the school's management for the negligence and carelessness that resulted in the bodily injury on the 2-year-old child who went to school and came home battered. Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has approved payment of another batch of half-salary debt alongside the state workers' July salaries. The spokesperson for the governor, Olawale Rashid, in a statement obtained in Osogbo on Saturday, noted that the latest payment was the third time Adeleke would pay the half-salary debt in line with the template issued early in the year to pay the debt on a quarterly basis. Rashid recalled Adeleke had, during the electioneering campaign, promised to pay the salary debt on an installment basis, adding that the administration had inherited about 26 billion naira in half-salary debt and about 50 billion naira in pension-related debt from the previous government. Adeleke, while commenting on the payment, reiterated his commitment to the faithful implementation of the template for the payment of the inherited salary debt. The governor, who maintained that the template was a consensus among all stakeholders on how to exit the half-salary rope, further assured the workers that the payment is progressing as scheduled. Brigadier General Bashir Adewinbi, retired State Commander Osun Amaitoko Corps, says the Corps arrested a 17-year-old boy in Osogbo for allegedly attempting to burgle a shop and hijack a motorcycle. Adewinbi, in a statement, said the suspect, who is from Ekoende Ikirun, was arrested at the capital area of Osogbo by an Amatukun patrol team. He explained that the suspect and an accomplice were spotted by a commercial motorcyclist trying to break into a shop. They subsequently attacked the motorcyclist and attempted to hijack his machine when he raised the alarm. Adewumbi said during interrogation, the suspect confessed to perpetrating the act and admitted to shop breaking offenses in the Osogbo metropolis. He, however, said the suspect had been handed over to the police for further investigation and prosecution. He implored parents on the proper upbringing of their children, decrying the rising level of teenagers and young children involvement in crimes. He said the law would not spare anybody caught involved in crime or criminality and warned residents to desist from criminal acts. President Bola Tinubu has extolled the virtues of former Chief of General Staff, deceased General Oladipo Dia, whom he described as a selfless and diligent leader. The president stated in his message on Saturday to the final funeral rites of Dia at his hometown Odogbolu, Ogun State, that the Dia's contributions to the nation building remained a reference point to coming generations. The president's message was delivered by Governor Dakma Biodun of Ogun State. The president noted that while Dia's death was painful, his impactful life and legacies were sufficient to console his loved ones and the generality of Nigerians. He added that Dia's contribution to the sanctity of Nigeria's territorial integrity were legendary. He joined the Nigerian Defense Academy Kaduna at a youthful age and was part of the active soldiers who fought during the Nigerian Civil War between July 6, 1967 and January 15, 1970. Dia studied law at the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, where he obtained an LLB degree. He studied law also at the Nigerian Law School, where he was called to the bar as solicitor and advocate of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. The Standards Organization of Nigeria in Bauchi State says its operations team has arrested a suspected producer of fake nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium fertilizer at Chinade town in Katsgum local government area of the state. It added that no fewer than 150 bags of the counterfeit fertilizer were also recovered from the suspect at his shop located at Chinade Market last week Saturday during its market day. The SON Northeast Zonal Coordinator Adamu Abba, who paraded the suspect before journalists in the state on Saturday, said he was caught producing the counterfeit golden fertilizer using 4 different combination sacks of fertilizer, product of Mairago, Freedom, Boko and Indorama. He said he was caught rebagging the product into golden fertilizer bags with the intention of selling it as the original product to innocent consumers, adding that over 150 bags of the counterfeit fertilizer were recovered from his shop. Governor Abu Kefas of Taraba has again pledged his administration's commitment to creating an enabling environment for the international agencies to work effectively in the state. The assurance came at the weekend when he played host to the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator Matthias Skimmel in Jalingo, the state capital. The governor said the presence of the international community in the state will assist Tarabans and enhance their well-being. He identified food security, access to quality health care, education, structural development, and climate change as some of the issues posing a threat to the states despite the challenges. Governor Abu pledged that his administration will remain resolute and determined to surmount the hurdles, but stressed that tackling them requires collaboration and collective action. He said the United Nations have a long-standing history of providing invaluable support to countries facing challenges, and that his administration will prioritize initiatives to promote renewable energy, agriculture, and responsible resources management. On his part, Matthias Skimmel, the UN Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator, expressed the readiness and commitment of the international organization to collaborate with the state. The National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives Kwara Council has suspended its 21-day strike ultimatum issued to the state government over poor conditions of service of its members. In a letter to the state governor, Malam Abdulrazak, signed by the chairman and secretary Aminu Shehu and Marcus Lucas, respectively, said the decision followed the express approval of the council's demand by the governor. The demands include, among others, recruitment of more nurses into the health sector, upward review of CONHES from 70% to 100%, implementation of hazard allowance, and implementation of uniform allowance. The association praised God to uplift and grant Governor Abdulrazak more wisdom to pilot the affairs of the state. Troops of Operation Hadarin Daji have arrested a bandit kingpin known as Jabirua and other suspected gang members in Dambala village of Sokoto State, while a separate operation in Zamfara State left one bandit killed. A top military source who preferred anonymity told newsmen that the arrests in Sokoto were carried out as part of an ongoing clearance operation to rid the northwest of banditry, kidnapping, and other heinous crimes. While acting on credible information, the troops raided bandit enclaves across Sokoto, Kebbi, Katsina, and Zamfara State, resulting in the arrest of some suspected members of Ruwa's gang taking refuge in Dambala village of Sokoto State. In another development, troops of OPHD cleared bandit enclaves of Sangeko, Kambugu, Lamba, Kaboro, and Mairaira villages in the Maru local government area of Zamfara State. It was gathered that during the process, troops came in contact with armed bandits at notorious bandit leader Alhaji Ilu's hideout at Sangeko, Kambagon, Lamba, Danmani, and Kaboro villages on the Maru local government area. The Commander Joint Task Force Northwest Operation Hadarin Daji, Major General Godwin Mutskut, who also doubles as the General Officer commanding 8th Division, commended the troops and charged them to maintain the momentum. The Kano State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission says it has commenced an investigation of over 4 billion naira missing government funds from the Kano State Agricultural Supply Company. The chairman of the commission, Muhuyi Rimingado, confirmed this when he led an investigation tour to the warehouses where cars and heavy-duty tractors believed to have been bought by the siphoned funds were being kept in the Kumbotso local government area of the state. Rimingado said the funds were mischievously transferred from Casco to Association of Compassionate Friends registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. The chairman explained that the funds were being drawn from the the state government as a grant to Casco, but were siphoned using the Registered Corporate Association. Ruben Gado said the commission was suspicious of how some transactions were being made between the companies and some banks, stressing that some bank managers may be invited to clear some issues. The governor of Zamfara State, Dauda Lawal, has lamented the poor state of the education sector in his state. The governor made the remark during a visit to the Tertiary Education Trust Fund in Abuja. In a statement released by the fund on Saturday, Dauda was said to have solicited the help of Tech Fund to reposition the education sector in order to move the state forward. Governor Lawal, who recently assumed office, said he anchored his campaign on security and education, saying he was, however, challenged with the little available financial resources to address the problems. The governor commended State Fund for its various projects across tertiary education institutions in the country. While responding, the State Fund boss Sonny Echono congratulated the governor on his victory in the March 18 governorship election, while saying that State Fund was very delighted with the governor's passion for human capital development. Echono says Zamfara is rich in resources and expressed the need to harness the potentials of the state for its educational development. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back to the Global News, everyone. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has rejected the federal government's 25% increment in the basic doctor salary, as well as the 25,000 naira accoutrement allowance per quarter. The rejection comes in the wake of the association's national indefinite strike, which it started at noon on July 26, saying the government had failed to meet its demands. National Executive Council, according to a statement by the association's president, Dr. Mecca Orji, NEC vehemently rejects the paltry 25% increment in the basic salary of doctors, as well as the accoutrement allowance, adding that her earlier demand is for full restoration of the consolidated medical salary structure to its right value as at the time of the approval of the structure in 2009. The nation had earlier other demands of the doctors include an immediate payment of the 2023 Medical Residency Training Fund, issuance of a circular by the Federal Ministry of Health for replacement of the doctors and nurses that have left the system with new ones, payment of salary arrears, improvement in hazard allowance by state government, a call on the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria to reverse herself on the downgrading of the membership certificates, amongst others. A civil society organization, Save Nigeria Movement, has insisted that the recent call for the sack of the Director General of the Department of State Security, Yusuf Magaji Bechi, is the handiwork of high-profile criminal suspects who are currently undergoing trial for various crimes of multiple dimensions, while describing such calls as a desperate bid by criminal elements to hoodwink Nigerians and curry public sympathy against the service in particular and the federal government in general. SNMN, in a statement signed by the convener Reverend Solomon Semaka, noted that the call was a reckless ploy and an afterthought deployed by powerful criminal suspects undergoing trial in line with the rule of law. The group maintained that the DSS under Yusuf Magaji Bechi has demonstrated commitment to maintaining internal security and should be commended rather than attacked by sponsored elements, emphasizing that Nigerians have confidence in the ability of DSS to effectively prosecute all criminal elements who try to undermine Nigeria's national security, no matter how highly placed. The group passed a vote of confidence on the DSS and its leadership and urged Nigerians to disregard the so-called protest and remain focused on efforts aimed at stabilizing the country and building a secure and prosperous nation for all Nigerians. The self-acclaimed Prime Minister of Biafra, Simon Ekpa, has rejected the letter written to him by the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Ekpa, in whose directive Southeast sits at home every Monday, described the letter read publicly by Kanu's lawyer, Aloy Ejimako, as fake, noting that the 2-week sit-at-home order issue must be adhered to. Now, recall that Kanu wrote a letter to Ekpa directing him to stop his actions against Southeast governors. He equally ordered him to stop Monday's sit-at-home order, noting that he has no right to do so. In his post via Twitter handle, the Finland-based Ekpa noted that the letter was a joke and an insult taken too far. While giving conditions before he believes the letter came from Kanu, Ekpa stated that Kanu must be released by the Department of State Services and should speak to Biafrans from Finland. He opined that the IPOB leader cannot condescend too low to write a letter like the one Ejimako read. Ekpa stated that Kanu was misrepresented in the letter. Meanwhile, the indigenous people of Biafra has dismissed claims by Finland-based Biafra agitator Simon Ekpa that its leader Nnamdi Kanu's letter was fake. IPOB spokesman Imad Powerful insisted that Kanu's letter ordering Ekpa to end the sit at home in the southeast was authentic. On Friday, Kanu had sent a handwritten letter to Ekpa ordering him to end the southeast sit at home. Kanu sent the letter through his special counsel, Aloy Ejimako. Confirming the letter, Powerful said Ekpa's claim that Kanu's letter was fake was part of an effort to cause mischief. The Apex Yoruba socio-political group Afenifere has described the insensitive policies of the administration of President Bola Tinubu, especially the sudden removal of petrol subsidy and the total disregard for the impact of the action on the people and the economy. Afenifere, in a statement by its Secretary General Shola Ebisani, the group said in 6 weeks, the nation's economy is under crushing impact of hyperinflation and unemployment, mass hunger, and poverty foisted by the gross ineptitude and incompetence. The group, which endorsed Tinubu during the February 25th, 2023 poll, said it could no longer afford its arms or be seen to maintain silence, neutrality, or ambivalence in the face of this latest body blow on an already traumatized citizenry. Afenifere further said the planned disposal of palliatives encouraged by the government suggests a total ignorance of the current realities and the gigantic remedial needs of the populace. The group also said the sacrifices to restore the fiscal viability of the country must be made by all, especially leaders involved in the huge waste of public funds in running government with a multiplicity of agencies. Following composition of the 10th House of Representatives Standing Committees by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, a group of lawmakers have dismissed the rumored rancor among members. The group, numbering 6 lawmakers, including the Deputy Chief of Staff to the Speaker, Chamberlain Dunku, dispelled the rumor at a joint press conference in Abuja. Representative Repi Kenga Ugochinyere, the spokesperson for the group, said the composition was fair, adding that the Speaker put the interests of members above personal or pecuniary interests. He said that the Speaker exhibited justice and fairness, adding that all the interest groups in the House were satisfied because the composition has been done without an external influence. He said that the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, Rep. Benjamin Kanu, considered the interests of members in the decision-making, adding that this was seen in the composition of principal officers and chairmanship of the standing committees. He said that the Parliament was more united than ever, adding that the standing committee membership cut across different interests, including those who contested the speakership with Abbas. And I will bring you business news. The Rivers State Council of Nigeria Labour Congress says it will adhere strictly to the directive of its national headquarters by mobilizing its affiliate unions, market women, civil society organizations, and the public to embark on a peaceful protest scheduled for Wednesday, 2nd August 2023, nationwide over the suffering of the masses amid the implementation of the federal government policy on fuel subsidy removal without regard to the poor masses. While addressing the state's Executive Council members of the Nigerian Labour Congress at the Labour House, Ibuku Street, Port Harcourt, the state chairperson NLC, Comrade Alex Agwanwon, urged affiliate unions to mobilize their members in readiness for the protest, which, according to him, is the right of every citizen. Comrade Agwanwon also called on the masses to rise up against obnoxious policies of government which is targeted at other ordinary citizens. According to him, the labor movement is to check the excesses of government and therefore upheld the labor slogan of injury to one, injury to all, and solicited the involvement of all in the struggle for a better Nigeria. He said the protest would begin at the State Labour House, 12 Ibuku Street, D-line towards Okija Street, and route Azikiwe Road and terminate at Government House, Port Harcourt. The amount released for foreign education by banks through the Central Bank of Nigeria has hit $533.48 million. The figure, which was obtained from the latest statistical bulletin published by the Apex Bank, was a cumulative addition of the amount released between October 2022 and March 2023. Experts, however, predict that the amount for the second quarter of 2023, sparing between April to June 2023, might be higher given the recent unification of the exchange rate by the CBN. Prior to unification, there had been a huge gap between the exchange rate at the black market and the official rate. According to the CBN data, the sum of $96.1 million was released in October 2022. There was an increase in the November 2022 when a total of $125.29 million was released for the same purpose. The Institution of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria has warned that a hike in electricity tariff would further worsen the misery of Nigerians, especially small and medium enterprises. Dr. Innocent Okwosa, the president of CAN, made this known in a recent statement. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has said 11 electricity distribution companies had written a letter to the government requesting tariff reviews. Innocent Okwosa said any move to increase electricity tariff will hurt businesses and Nigerians directly. He advised President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's federal government to stall any proposal to hike electricity tariff because Nigerians are still grappling with fuel price increments, forex challenges, and many economic woes. And that will bring you international tidbits. The African Union has demanded the military in Niger return to their barracks and restore constitutional authority within 15 days after grabbing power in a coup in the jihadist hit nation. The AU's Peace and Security Council demands the military personnel to immediately and unconditionally return to their barracks and restore constitutional authority within a maximum period of 15 days. In a communique, it condemns in the strongest terms possible the overthrow of elected government and its President Mohamed Bazoum, and expressed deep concern over the alarming resurgence of military coups in Africa. Bazoum was detained on Wednesday and the putschist later named General Abdul Hamani Tichiani, head of the Presidential Guard since 2011, as a new leader. They presented the coup as a response to deteriorating security in the country, but it was condemned by the international community as a power grab. The Australian police says debris has been found from an Australian military helicopter that crashed into the Pacific Ocean. Although there is still no sign of 4 missing crew members after search, militaries from at least 3 nations have joined the police in looking for the crew of Taipan that went down in subtropical waters off the northeast coast of Australia. The chopper had been taking part in the large-scale Talisman Sabre exercise, which brings together 30,000 military personnel from Australia, the United States, and several other nations. It ditched into the water near the White Sunday Islands while taking part in a nighttime operation. Queen's Island Police Superintendent Douglas MacDonald insisted that hope had not yet faded for finding the crew alive, saying at this time it remains a search and rescue mission. Meanwhile, MacDonald said that on Sunday, helicopters, planes, and boats from the Australian, Canadian, and U.S. militaries would be joined by underwater divers. Colombian President Gustavo Petro says his son Nicolas has been arrested on charges of money laundering and illicit enrichment in a scandal linked to Petro's election campaign. Colombia's first leftist president wrote on Twitter, which is being rebranded as X, that police arrested his son and the son's ex-wife, Daisaros Vasquez. In March, Vasquez alleged that Nicolas Petro received large amounts of money from drug traffickers and smugglers in 2022 for his father's ultimately successful presidential campaign, but instead used it to live in luxury in the northern city of Barranquilla. Prosecutors confirmed the arrest of the younger Petro on charges of money laundering and illicit enrichment. Vasquez was also charged with that first offense. Since the scandal broke, President Petro has denied receiving money from the country's powerful cocaine lords. He has also asked that his son be investigated. And here is entertainment news for tonight. Marriage, they say, is a beautiful thing, and it was such delight and glamour and typical affluence at the traditional marriage ceremony of Chiwendu Enebeli and Emmanuel Osebo, which was held in the city of Port Harcourt. And we'll bring you this report.
Marriage, they say, is a beautiful thing. It was a sight of glamour and typical affluence at the traditional marriage ceremony of Chiwendu Enebeli and Emmanuel Osebo, which was held in the city of Port Harcourt. The ceremony was graced with traditional displays, colorful personalities from different walks of life, friends and well-wishers. The traditional ceremony had varieties of mind-blowing native cuisine and colored conscious attires, both from the bride representatives and the groom as well. The introduction of the bride was accompanied by a spectacular conga band group. While the groom was followed up with most close friends on white agbada and some on the popular senator regalia.
The emperor, the conqueror, the champion, the lion is here.
All on white and a touch of gold precisely. Most exceptional was the cake cutting, which paved way for the couple's dance as it aroused the entire audience into the dance scene, with many pulling wallets and currencies in excitement for the couples. The close of the event ushered in dozens of well wishes, accompanied with slaughs of luxurious presents amidst the clement weather.
And that was such a beautiful scene, but not to worry, we have even better package coming for you tomorrow for their white wedding, which took place today. That will be on Global News tomorrow night, so you don't want to miss that. Now, Nigerian celebrities and fans have taken to social media to seek forgiveness from the father of Super Falcons forward, Asisat Oshoala, over her celebration in Nigeria's 3-2 win against Australia. Oshoala came on as a second-half substitute to score Nigeria's third goal of the game over the hosts on Thursday. The 29-year-old removed her jersey after she scored in an adrenaline rush after she scored in an empty net following a mix-up between Matilda's defender and goalkeeper. Her choice of celebration went viral across social media platforms. The Barcelona Femení forward revealed on her Instagram page on Friday that her father was not happy with her choice of celebration. A lot of celebrities took to her Instagram handle to beg for forgiveness from her father. Her teammates such as Ashley Plumter, Chiamaka Nnadozie, and Michelle Alozie hailed her brilliant display. Super Eagles legend Kanu Nwankwo, Emmanuel Adebayo, Victor Osimhen, Vincent Inyama, Peter Olayinka, Ogenyi Onazi also showed their support. Here is now more on the sports news for tonight. Deborah Abiodun will sit out Nigeria's final Group B game against the Republic of Ireland on Monday. Abiodun was sent off in Nigeria's opening fixture against Olympic champions Canada. The 19-year-old was suspended for Thursday's 3-2 victory against co-host Australia. FIFA has now confirmed that she is also suspended for the upcoming clash against the girls in green. Abiodun will, however, be available for the round of 16 in case the Super Falcons make it through from the group stage. Asisat Oshoala, Blessing Demehin, and Michelle Alozie are on the caution list and risk missing the next match if they get booked in Monday's match. The Super Falcons need a point against Vera Pauw's side to earn a spot in the round of 16. Foreign defender Amanda Ilesdet scored twice with her head to help Sweden to a 5-0 thrashing of Italy on Saturday and a berth in the Women's World Cup last 16. A tight contest was blown open in a 7-minute spell late in the first half when the third-ranked Swedes found the net 3 times through Ilestedt's Fridolina Roloff and Stina Blackstenius. Arsenal centre-back Ilestedt bagged her second soon after the interval to give her 3 goals for the tournament, all headers from corners, including the late match winner in their opening 2-1 defeat of South Africa. Substitute Rebecca Blomqvist rounded out the rout in stoppage time in front of nearly 30,000 in Wellington. The Swedes are assured of finishing in the top 2 of the Group G becoming the third team to book a place in the knockout stage after Spain and Japan. Sweden, who has now qualified for the knockout phase in 8 of 9 World Cup appearances, will play their final group game against Argentina in Hamilton on Wednesday. Elsewhere, Captain Wendy Renard struck a late winner as France kickstarted their Women's World Cup campaign with a 2-1 win over Brazil in a heavyweight Group F clash in Brisbane on Saturday after a lackluster 0-0 draw with Jamaica in their opening game. France defied the Brazilian team and most of the 49,378 crowd to secure their 3 vital points ahead of their final group match against tournament debutant Panama. The French, who controlled much of the game, took an early lead through veteran striker Eugene Le Sommer. Brazil hit back to equalize in the second half through Dabina, but Renard appeared at the back post to head in an 83rd minute winner from a corner. A bronze statue of the legendary former manager of Arsenal, Arsene Wenger, has been unveiled outside the Emirates Stadium. Wenger helped the Gunners to 3 Premier League titles and 7 FA Cups during his reign from 1996 to 2018. The Frenchman is lifting the Premier League trophy in the 3.5-meter statue outside the North Bank stand. The 73-year-old will be a guest of honor for Arsenal's home friendly against Monaco, another of his former clubs, on Wednesday. Wenger, who now works for FIFA, is so synonymous with Arsenal's recent history. The last season's title battle and second place finish under Mikel Arteta is their best Premier League campaign without Wenger in charge. He managed 1,235 matches at Arsenal, most famously overseeing the only unbeaten Premier League campaign when Arsenal won the 2003-2004 title. Wenger took them into the Champions League in 20 consecutive years. Next season will be their first campaign in the competition without Wenger in charge since the 1991-1992 European Cup. Arsenal Executive Vice Chairman Tim Louis said Arsenal's contribution to an achievement with the club marked him out as the club's greatest manager. And that's the size of the global news for tonight. But before we go, here is another look at the major stories. The Commissioner of Police expresses optimism over airport renovation in Port Harcourt. IPOB confirms Kanu's letter to Ekpa as authentic. President Tinubu eulogizes late Dia. The Rivers NLC set to embark on peaceful protest. President Gustavo's son arrested over money laundering. P Square falls orders beg Ashala's father over shirtless celebration. Arsenal unveils Wenger's bronze statue. I'm Vivian Douglas. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on our social media handles. On Twitter, we're Atlantic TV Net. On Facebook and YouTube, we're Atlantic Television Network. On Instagram and TikTok, we're Atlantic TV Network 1. Do remember that peace and unity are the pathway to progress. Have a good night.